Now, more with Angelette Aviles.
WBAL News Radio 1090 and FM 101.5.
All right, the talk of town is a 50-year mortgage. And on the line with me right now, I have Brian Akers. He's the president, founder, wealth advisor for Akers Financial Group. And I want to pick his brain. How are you today, Brian?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm good. So, Brian, when you first heard about this proposal for a 50-year mortgage, what was your gut reaction as a financial advisor?
My gut reaction was, oh, no. But I also remember Disney back in the 90s wanting to issue 100-year bonds. So it's not something that's not been out there on the bond market. But 50-year mortgage, I represent the consumer in many, many cases, and that's why for the consumer, the 50-year mortgage has a negative for me at this point.
Yeah, and the administration calls it a game changer. But from your perspective, is it, or is it just kicking the can down the road for borrowers?
Wow. It depends on what side you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So if we're trying to get the housing market moving, you need basically supply and demand. Mm-hmm. So if we want people to buy more, if we can extend a loan, almost like a car loan, when you go from 5 years to 7, you can now afford a higher price car. The same thing on a higher price mortgage, a higher price house. So it is a game changer getting some people into mortgages, which I might argue they might not be able to afford because of this, but it is a way of getting something moving.
Yeah. And so what's the historical context here? Why was there even a 30-year mortgage established in the first place? And what would changing it mean for the overall economy?
Yeah, so 30-year, I believe President Roosevelt did that back in the 30s and 40s. And I think that was all part of the Great Depression, trying to get us all back into banking and getting us really to become homeowners at that point in time. The idea of a 30-year mortgage, that sort of plays out to somebody, in their 20s and 30s, who buy a house. 30 years is the lifetime of their working. It works out very well to be out of debt by retirement, which is what I recommend for everyone. Yeah, is lower bills in retirement makes retirement a lot easier. A 50-year mortgage is almost like an interest-only type loan. You end up paying double the interest over 50 years, and so the banking, basically the home builders, they'll make more money on this than the consumer. But it would help people qualify. Now, if I was counseling them after they received a 50-year mortgage, I would then say, all right, let's redo your payments down to 30-year. Let's get it paid off before you retire. So refinancing. That would be the end result. Yeah, I would use it as an entry level and then refinance later. This is almost like a 5-year arm where people can get into a low-rate mortgage or things like that to help us qualify buyers that just can't quite fit with all the costs of housing and the interest rates currently above 6. Yeah. So folks that are just tuning in, I have Brian Akers here. He's the president and founder of Akers Financial Group. Now, you were talking about retirement and stuff earlier. If someone takes on a 50-year mortgage, let's say in their 30s, because I'm looking at the median age of first-time home buyers from the 80s to now, it went from 29 to 40. But let's say in the 30s, that means they're still paying until they're 80. So how does that affect retirement planning? All right. So I think the average age right now is 36 is when people convert from apartments and then they actually buy that house. And then what happens is, imagine you want to retire at, say, 67, 70 years old. Retirement, I believe, is all about cash flow. If we have a mortgage, that means we have less money for everything else. Now, sometimes when we get into a 50-year mortgage, if that's what's going to happen, you're probably buying a loan that you might not be able to afford now because you're trying to squeeze into a house you can't afford. And that would be the caution I would have is, are you buying something within your budget? Will your income rise over time? Then you need to pay more on that mortgage as soon as possible so you can turn it in from a 50 to a 30 by adding extra money. One extra payment a year on a 30-year mortgage knocks it to a 21-year mortgage. So the math of mortgages is to pay extra as soon as you can.
Yeah. Someone here on a text line was talking about a 15-year mortgage. I know, Dave Ramsey is one of those big proponents of that. Have you heard anything from Dave Ramsey? Has he said anything about this?
I have not heard Dave Ramsey speak, but Dave Ramsey on this topic. But Dave Ramsey would say, pay off your mortgage more than anything. And I don't believe that's my answer. Mm-hmm. I believe mortgages at great interest rates are like we had just 5 years ago. I probably would pay it slow. My goal for people is to have mortgages gone by retirement so that we can have a positive cash flow. I always say that we need money for our health care in retirement rather than our mortgage.
Health care.
Health care is incredibly expensive in retirement, and that's why I want us to have a cash flow that's very positive.
Yeah. So if you were advising the president on housing affordability, what's the smarter play? Like these longer loans, lower rates, or deregulation, to spur building?
Well, imagine that when it comes to the government and their decisions, there's a lot of decisions. And whenever you make one, it helps some people, hurts others.
Yeah.
If the target is new home buyers, I think a new home buyers program would be wonderful. What I mean by that is supporting young people buying, helping them into that first house.
Yeah.
There's wonderful VA loans for the military. Yeah. Those loans are incredible. They have less required down, great interest rates. I think some type of plan for new home buyers would really help them buy.
Yeah.
In my case, my own son trying to buy a house with the interest rates the way things are, it's hard to buy, and then the price of housing makes the payments so much higher and such a high percentage of pay. It's very hard to afford to live. But then you start seeing what the rentals are costing nowadays.
Yeah.
And the cost of rents are starting to rise faster and faster. And it comes a whole math problem of do we buy or not? I love buying if you're going to be in an area more than 5 years. Mm-hmm. I really think it's a great thing to do to have your own home. But there is a cost to it, a high cost to it, and you got to make sure it fits. Thankfully, I'm not the federal government. I'm more a certified financial planner.
Yeah.
I get to take the rules that they have and then apply them to each client.
I love it.
I'm conservative. I want my clients to win all their retirement years and have freedom. Some of the biggest freedom days of our life is when we're debt free.
Yeah.
That's where we don't owe anybody any money. That's a wonderful thing.
I love it. And that's a perfect way to end this segment. Thank you so much, Brian, for your advice and thoughts here. And I want to hear from you, listeners. Would you, if this is your first time buying a home or have children considering, would you advise them on a 50-year mortgage, and would you take it? This is Angelette Aviles on WBAL News Radio.